I'm Marty. I'm your host today. Welcome to Gabe's Cave, and we have some special guests in the cave today. We have a couple of the Peanut cast, The Voice. We have Duncan Watson, Charley Brown, and
Melanie Kohn.
Lucy. How y'all doing today?
Great.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for coming in today. It was it's been fun for the last 2 days, I guess, so far. We still got a couple more. Well, we got one more day, don't we? We got today and tomorrow. Yeah. So let me just ask y'all a few questions while we're here. I mean, I really appreciate y'all stepping into the studio. Normally, I don't do this. Gabe normally does. So, it's not too bad, but, so let's just talk just a few minutes. I know we got to get to a signing. So can you tell me a little bit about, how y'all actually, cause I know you're like on the other side, and I think you told me that, everything was done in San Francisco back years ago, correct?
Yes.
So did you live in San Francisco?
I lived in the Bay Area. So I lived in Marin County. Tiburon, California is where I lived when I was a kid.
When you was a kid. Yep. So how old were you when you started, and how did you get into it? Because this is one of the questions I want to ask for both of y'all, because you'd be surprised how many people in the comic, I say the comic, the pop culture, the people that we, our subscribers and people that watch us and stuff like that. A lot of them, they're amazing. They can portray a lot of different voices, so it's kind of cool. So let's start with that.
Sure.
How did you get in?
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, most voice actors inhabit a character and then they portray that character, through the microphone. In my case, I was 11 years old and I was at the Reed Elementary School in Tiburon, California. And one day I was at recess and I was heading back to my class. And on the way back to my class, I noticed that outside of another classroom was a long line of people standing outside of the classroom. And that looked interesting to me. So I stood in line. I just got in the line and I didn't know what the line was for. I just stood in the line until I got to the front of the line. And then when they got to the front of the line, the two people that were in the room, they had a giant tape recorder on the desk. And they said, "Hi, which character would you like to read for?" And I was like, "I don't even know what you all are doing here." So, and they're like, "Okay, fine. Just read these couple lines from Charley Brown and we'll be good." So I read a couple lines. I wrapped up, went back to class, didn't think anything of it, didn't tell my parents about it because it was so unremarkable. And then about a couple weeks later, we got a phone call from the producers of the show, Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez. And they invited me back to do another voice test because they started to narrow it down. They were looking for continuity from the previous voice. And that's when I went. And they offered to pay me $50 to go back into San Francisco. Now this is 1973, and I was 11 years old. So $50 was like, I hit the gold mine there. So I got through a couple more voice tests, and then I was selected, and my first show was Be My Valentine, Charley Brown. So I just have to emphasize the fact that I was not one of those voice actors that inhabited a character. It was literally my voice at that time. So that's what they were looking for, was just my voice and what I was doing.
That's amazing. And it just by accident fell right into
100% by accident. I mean, I wish I could say that I had some sort of talent, but the talent was the fact that at that time my voice sounded like what they wanted.
And from there, did you do anything else? Did you try out for anything else, or?
I had a couple of opportunities. I got an agent, started going to auditions and things like that. But there's a big difference. I mean, if you're not a trained actor or don't have any experience, there's a learning curve involved with it. And I remember when I was trying out for television shows, pilots and whatnot. You're basically on a soundstage and there's no audience, and everything's black, but you can see yourself in the monitors. And I felt very self-conscious when I saw myself in the monitor. So I wasn't comfortable, and my acting wasn't skilled as an actor. And then, after I actually did get a gig. I got selected to play the lead in a movie. But when they went to go start the shooting of the movie, I was away hiking with the Boy Scouts. And so they ended up going with the next person. And that movie turned out to be Benji.
Whoa. Poor Charley Brown.
Good grief.
Good grief.
So then shortly after that, my family moved from California to New Hampshire, and that was effectively the end of my acting career, such as it was.
And you just went into public works.
Well, kind of. I mean, I obviously went and finished high school, went to undergraduate, started a career in hotel and restaurant administration. Got a little tired of that after a while and decided I wanted something with a little more purpose. So I went and got a graduate degree in environmental science. And I've been working in a small municipality in southwest New Hampshire for the past 33 years.
Wow.
And I just authored a book that is now out in stores called Everyone's Trash. And I'm very proud of that work and hope people will check it out.
All right. Melanie, how about you? How did it I know you've already told me a little bit, but let's talk to everybody else.
Well, I started in theater at about 3 years old, and about 5 years old, my father signed me up at a casting agency in San Francisco. I lived north of San Francisco as well. Duncan and I didn't go to the same school. We didn't know each other at the time. And the first thing that I was called to do was be an extra in The Godfather, the original Godfather movie. And that was fun. The scene was actually filmed in Marin County. And then my sister auditioned for the part of voicing Lucy around 1970, I believe. Okay, Duncan's saying yes.
No, that's about right. Yep.
Okay. And when she retired, and they don't tell you when you retire, so girls' voices change as well as boys' voices. It's not as apparent, but when her voice started to change, I guess they had seen me, and I'd gone in when she went to record. And so they asked if I could come in and audition for the role of Sally, which is Charley Brown's younger sister, and the role of Lucy. Charley Brown's sister is supposed to be about 4 years old, so I sounded a little bit too old. I was about 9 at the time, and I sounded too old for Lucy. So they said they were going to let me work into the role, and so I voiced Lucy from 1974 to 1977. And when I retired, they didn't give me a heads up. I also was selected to be in a series. And before they started the pilot, it got canceled before the pilot. My career did not continue for other reasons, but that was my memory after the Lucy thing. I call it the Lucy thing.
So, I know you were talking about some of the cast the voice actors that you've been with that are around the same time. I know, like in the Power Rangers family, I use this as an example because it's kind of like the same thing. There's like several Red Rangers, several Yellow Rangers, several Green, there's always several different Rangers. And they always say once a Power Ranger, always a Power Ranger. They got a Power Ranger family. And it's kind of like they all go to y'all been to different Comic-Cons where you see all kinds of different Power Rangers there. So is the Peanuts, do they have like a reunion ever or a cast where everybody is invited or something like that? Have y'all ever had that happen?
Yes, in 1989, that was the last time I was invited to a reunion.
They didn't contact me for that, so I never got it. I never even heard about it.
Never even heard about it.
Nope.
So is there anything like that now? Are y'all still connected at all do y'all ever see any of the other?
Very, very rarely. In fact, I got a hold of Duncan after not seeing him for 45 years. We had run into each other outside the studio. We recorded separately.
Right.
So we had seen each other in passing in the studio. I had run into him outside the studio when I was about 12 and he was 13. And I just a couple of years ago, we're both pushing 60 years old. I get a hold of him and asked him if he wants to do some shows with me. So we just reunited a couple of years ago.
It's kind of like you really didn't even know that existed, right?
No, I had no idea that this was a world unto itself. No idea.
It's amazing that I hear that a lot in different things, different shows and stuff like that. The Peanuts, it's like every 2 or 3 years, they're changing. You got a new Charley Brown, a new Lucy, new Sally, new everybody. Linus, it seems like let's say the Power Rangers. To me, I never watched the Power Rangers, and my son watched them for just a short time, so he wasn't never really big into it. But 30, 40 years later, it is like huge, and it to me it wasn't really a great film show. It's kind of cheese.
Wait, are we talking Power Rangers, or are we talking Peanuts?
No. I'm talking about it was like a B-rated anime style live action film. Okay, series. But the Peanuts, they've been around forever, and it seems like that somebody really needs to do the research, and because I really think like a big Kohn reunion where all the Peanuts got together. I mean, I think it would be really cool.
I agree. I agree that it would be really cool. And I think that there are a lot of people that voiced Peanuts characters that have gone on to do other things and have absolutely no interest in revisiting it. I know of a few in particular. And there are just a few who have passed. But other than that, there are, I think that there are only a handful that are really into this or know about it.
Well, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. And I think that, with as long as the Peanuts has been around, I mean, no matter how old you were, I mean, the people that are alive today know about the Peanuts. I mean, you cannot be a kid in today's time and not know about the Peanuts. You cannot be a kid. When I was a kid, I'm 51, and I've known about the Peanuts all my life. They've always been around, and to see something like that, because we're big Star Wars fans, and to see the Star Wars franchise continue after generation after generation, I think it's amazing how you can take a show, take a series, a cartoon, and can keep it alive for generations. I mean, you got to understand, it's probably going to be around after we're gone.
Well, this next year is the 75th anniversary of Peanuts. So Melanie and I were involved with the 25th anniversary TV special show. But long before even that began, I remember I was born in New Jersey and lived in New Jersey for the first 6 years of my life. And I remember, and I have pictures of it somewhere, my father and my brother and I, we built a Snoopy snow sculpture in the front yard. I had a Snoopy pajama holder where you could unzip the back, put your pajamas in, and you waiting for you at nighttime. So I mean, Peanuts has been part of my life in a way long before I became associated with the franchise itself.
So after, let's say, because y'all were both around 9, 12, something like that, how did it affect your life because that's a long time. That's a long time between the time that y'all were voicing it till, recently a few years ago. Did it affect your life like, a lot of, you see a lot of childhood actors that, just kind of tragically, I say, I mean, because like I went to school with the guy when he was a kid. He actually almost won he was nominated for an Oscar. His name was Alan Billman. No, not Alan, but Alan Templeton, I think, or something. Anyway, I can't remember it, but he played in, I think it was with Robert Redford, the movie was, or something like that. It was a big movie back in the 80s, and that's all he ever done. And I know, I know how it affected him. I'm saying that affected him because, he really became an actor as a child, but it was short-lived. That was the biggest movie he had ever done. I don't think he had done any more after that.
I think I understand what you're getting at.
Yeah.
We run into a lot of people at these Comic-Cons and conventions that were in one thing that they're really well known for, and that's about all they did. But people remember and people love it. People want to meet them and they want their autograph. And it's just, I call it a thing. I know that's not a really good way to describe it, but we also see a lot of people who were in episode 6, season 7 of, we won't mention any names of what kind of show, but they're huge too.
Y'all were part of one of the greatest comic strip cartoon series ever.
Yeah, I think the gravitas of that sometimes hits me. I mean, it certainly, when I was a kid doing it at the time, I was familiar with Charley Brown, and of course, it was all the things that I got to do while I was voicing Charley Brown were extremely cool, but it didn't have the same impact in terms of me being in awe of it until I got older. But at the same token, when I was doing the voicing itself, I had trouble with it from my classmates, my schoolmates. It was difficult because what you want to be when you're 12 years old is you want to just be part of the crowd. You don't want to stand out from the crowd. And having a limousine pull up to take you out of class to drive you into San Francisco to do a taping, that doesn't help you to stand out. And so it created some conflicts, with jealousy issues with some of my contemporaries, which was difficult because I was already struggling socially anyway. And that's why the move from California to New Hampshire was good for me. It really reset my whole adolescence, as it were. But I think that as an adult, it's not something that necessarily comes up in conversation. I mean, it's not like my voice sounded like Charley Brown after puberty. So the anonymity of it was the cover, but eventually things would start to leak out, and people would become aware of it. Somebody would find out about it, and then the newspaper would do an article about it, and all of a sudden people are coming out like, I never knew you did that, and like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, how was I supposed to bring that up in conversation exactly? But now, I mean, I'm very grateful because my kids still think it's kind of cool. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this absolute juggernaut franchise that has brought so much joy to so many people.
I think when I say the opportunity, because you are Charley Brown, you were Charley Brown when I was young, and you were Lucy, and I look at it like that's who you are. And even though you have a professional occupation that you do and everything, you're still Charley Brown.
Yeah.
And I think what was this talking about? Owning it.
Yeah.
Owning that's who you are.
Right.
Yeah, there's other Charley Browns, but the thing about it is that's still who you are.
Well, then that's why the Peanuts franchise has done so well, is that every character in some way is probably relatable. I mean, everybody, has had Charley Brown type of experiences. I mean, that expression "good grief" is probably one of the better expressions of all time because it captures things without being vulgar. But, sometimes, good grief can be, awestruck. It can be like, oh my God, something terrible has happened. And it's just, people identify with Charley Brown and his troubles. And Charley Brown, at the end of the day, is the ultimate optimist. He gets knocked down so many times. How many times does he try to kick that football? And he's forever, in perpetuity, he's going to try to kick that football. And in perpetuity, Lucy's going to take that football away. Because that's who Lucy is. But Lucy's also identifiable to a lot of people because there's a little bit of Lucy in a lot of people as well. Last
night we were at the parade, and I know that we're probably dating it, but it's okay because this is going to be filming tomorrow. But last night we were at the parade, and me not being real familiar with, I didn't watch the Peanuts all the time, but I knew the Peanuts. I knew a lot about it, but not everything. But like last night, I bet there was a lot of kids in the parade that was, at the parade didn't really understand what you were saying at some times. It was funny. We were laughing our butts off. I guess you could say that on this show, but
I did get some looks. I think the parent, anybody that was over maybe 30, 35 understood that it was all in humor. I was doing some Lucy quotes and, like Christmas is a big commercial racket or something like that, and the kids, I could see their eyes widening.
But the parents were laughing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's an iconic line.
And then she'd say, you're just a blockhead.
Oh, you blockhead, Charley Brown.
But when she didn't say Charley Brown at the end, we were looking out there, and these kids were looking like, "What's she calling me a blockhead for?"
Right. Yeah.
So it was really fun last night. I enjoyed it probably as much as y'all did. I think.
Yeah, it was great. I think on the other hand, I think there were a lot of kids that did know Peanuts because it was a Peanuts theme parade, and I could tell that a lot of kids have been introduced to it.
Absolutely. Well, I know we need to get to a signing, so I appreciate y'all stopping by and hanging out with us. Looking forward for the next couple of days and have some more fun.
We're so grateful you invited us down, and we're having a great time.
We are. We're having an amazing time.
All right, all you cave dwellers, we appreciate you hanging out with us today. Duncan Watson and Melanie Kohn, the voice of Charley Brown and Lucy. Thank y'all. Have a great day.
Good grief.